Tattoos, hey, we often see them. They are a form of expression, but can that expression go too far? Well, that takes us to this week's case. It involves a real man, Antonio Jenkins, lived in Minneapolis, St. Paul. There, he decided to have a tattoo placed on his arm, and the tattoo consisted of a pig that was wearing a police uniform with a police hat on, and the shoulder patch on the uniform had a specific Minneapolis police member number on it, and below it was the initial J followed by the name Seidel. There was a gun shown in the mouth of the pig dressed as a police officer. Well, Antonio Jenkins posted a picture of this tattoo on Facebook and said, quote, "This is a picture of a pig getting its brains blew out." Antonio was not the most literate individual. Well, he did get 8 likes on Facebook, but a number of people took offense at this, particularly Jay Seidel, who's a member of the Minneapolis police force. And Antonio was charged by the DA's office with committing a terrorist act because he had this tattoo placed on his arm, and in addition, he posted a picture of it to Facebook. Well, the case went forward. The attorney, on behalf of Antonio, was arguing, hey, this is protected by the First Amendment. It's a form of expression. It's a political statement. On the other side of the coin, the district attorney's office was arguing, no, that isn't protected by the First Amendment by virtue of the fact that it is a specific terrorist threat that's directed to a police officer, and it is therefore not protected under the First Amendment, and you, Antonio, are being charged with a terrorist act. Well, the case was going forward. And not unsurprisingly, Antonio, through his attorney, decided to enter a plea. He bargained and received a plea. The plea essentially was for a lesser offense. Part of the condition of the plea was the fact that he had to have the tattoo obliterated. He had to have it wiped out in the form of being covered with a large, basically black tattoo that was essentially a big black blob. Okay, well, that brought this to the end of the case for Antonio. But a number of people were very engaged by this case, and a number of law school professors basically chimed in on it regarding the First Amendment arguments. And the general consensus, for all it's worth, the general consensus was this is not protected speech because it was a specific threat, a threat to shoot someone, a very specific individual identified by a badge number and by name, and therefore it was not protected as free speech. So what do we learn from this case? Well, we learn a very important thing, and that is while the First Amendment under the U.S. Constitution extends significant amount of free speech, there are certain forms of speech which are not protected. We all know you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, and you also cannot make terrorist threats. Well, there are a lot of statutes now in place that define terrorist activity, and one of them is making a viable threat against a police officer. As we all know, making a threat against the President of the United States is also a felony, a federal felony. So, long story short, there's conduct which sometimes is in the form of speech, or speech which is sometimes in the form of conduct, which can become a terrorist threat, and in this instance, we saw it in the form of a simple tattoo. Maybe not so simple, but in the form of a tattoo. Of course, the judge, when he accepted the plea bargain, said, you know, Antonio, Mr. Jenkins, next time you get a tattoo, you might want to consider flowers. Okay. We bring you this case as we bring you cases every week so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.